genre.
Welcome to The Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review, discuss, and recap every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
I'm Scott Corelli.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
And today on the show, we'll be continuing to discuss the Daleks, which is the first Doctor's third story.
Mm-hmm. It is. And we left off, if you guys remember from last week, we left off with Ian climbing into a Dalek. They tricked a Dalek into a trap, and they took the Dalek out of the thing. Something that is never ever referenced again in the rest of the story,
or indeed the rest of the show.
No, lots of times in the show.
Oh, okay.
Because eventually we see what a Dalek creature looks like all the time,
and they kind of just look like kind of fatter Krangs.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, just like dumber looking Krangs.
Yeah, just crappier Krangs.
Yeah, and yeah, so they drag that out, and Ian gets inside and starts. He's like, I can't control this thing. You guys are gonna have to push me. So they start pushing him out, and they're gonna escape using Ian Dalek, and then we zoom over to the cloak, and underneath the cloak that they took the Dalek thing out with, you see like this little claw hand poke out of the cloak.
Yeah,
and we're like, oh, that's scary stuff.
It might have been a kid.
I know, like what is that thing? And then you never find out.
No, ever.
Not really. At least you never see it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the show was just, I think Terry Nation was like, we don't have to, we don't need to, it's a future show problem.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Nation was just setting up franchises with this whole Dalek thing. So, but yeah, that brings us to part 4, the ambush. So take it away, Nick.
Yes. Okay. So, like Scott said, they are leading. They're kind of doing like a weird, really kind of macabre remix of the old Wookiee prisoner trick.
Although they're doing the original.
Oh yeah, this does predate it. Fair enough. Yeah, totally. So
by like almost 2 decades.
Yeah. Geez Louise.
Yeah.
Has George Lucas ever said anything about Doctor Who?
No, because Doctor Who didn't air in America until the late 70s, early 80s, I think.
Oh, so he had checked out. He was too busy riding his car through the American dreamscape, picking up ladies and.
Well, I mean, he'd already created Star Wars at that point, so right. Like, who cares about this dumb,
before
stupid. Yeah, fat robot thing.
Fat robot.
What's really funny, though, is that there's no way that R2-D2 isn't based on the Daleks, because everyone who worked on Star Wars was British except for George Lucas and the actors.
Oh, yeah.
So they were like,
yeah.
Hey, let's just make a little Dalek.
Just take the stupid bubble things off.
Take those stupid stock things off.
Yeah.
We'll paint it white and blue. And
we'll get a little dude. We'll get a little dude in it.
We can go home early and we can get ourselves a pint, and he's
not
going to know any difference. Have you talked to this guy? He doesn't know what's going on.
Idiot. Change the script like every day. This dude's name used to be Star Killer. All right. Oh, looks good. Looks like a little fat robot. Oh yeah, George. We know what we're doing. All right, take a lunch.
Told you it would work.
Yank is an idiot. You know, he only got this job because he's friends with Steven Spielberg.
So the first thing I want to point out about this scene with Ian and the Dalek is I love that, you know, when we leave the last episode, you know, he climbs into the Dalek and he can't control it, so they have to push him.
Yeah.
And then we start this episode in a new location, and he's like, oh, actually, I've totally figured out this whole Dalek control thing, so I'm fine.
Never mind.
And it's like, oh, that's because he's not actually inside it anymore.
Yeah, because like
it's on a remote control again. It's got the engine in there again.
Yeah, because everything at the end of part 3, it's Doctor Who in the 60s still, so everything with him getting inside of the Dalek has been pretty much one shot.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not one shot, but it's like live edited.
Yes, yeah.
Right. So it's like everything is shot with like a multicam, and there's a director in a booth, as we saw in An Adventure in Space and Time. There's a director in a booth going, camera 1. All right, let's cut to camera 2. All right, close up on camera 1. Let's cut to camera 1.
And actually, Scott is already being somewhat liberal with how many cuts they would have had back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when we cut to this new scene, you know, he's no longer in there, and like his voice isn't coming from inside the Dalek anymore, and it's just really funny because it's like, I see what you guys did.
It's kind of like that old joke in Wayne's World 2 where like they quote go to Europe.
Yeah, it's actually really great for the actor who plays Ian, whose name is slipping my mind. But
who cares?
It's pretty great for him because like he's only in like 2 scenes in this episode.
Yeah. He must have
he
like
just
an off
gets
day.
to he just gets to like go like sit off camera and talk into a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty great.
Smoke a J.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, so the ruse is working. They're pushing the Doctor. I mean, they're pushing the Dalek around, and then they're stopped by another Dalek, and then they have a pretty amazing conversation. Ian Dalek and the real Dalek is like, "Oh, these are my prisoners," and Dalek's like, "That checks out. We do like those." And so they like lead. They like trick the Dalek to go through this door, and they close the door on him, and then the Doctor magnetically locks it. And so the stupid Dalek is just trapped in the other room now, and so they are trying to get Ian out of the Dalek husk, but it's stuck. Like the catch is stuck. So meanwhile, the Dalek on the other side of the door has realized that he's been tricked, and he's like, alarm, alarm, and like he sounds the alarm.
There's this one part
Yes.
where Susan is like distracting them or whatever, and the Daleks sort of like surround her, and they can't do anything but like plunger her, and it just looks like they're like giving her like a sensual plunger massage.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because she's like pretending to be scared of them.
Right.
And they're just kind of like, it's kind of cute. I mean, they're just kind of poking her with their like suction stalks.
Right.
And they're like, rah. And she's like, oh no, these things, this is scary.
They're just like plunging her back. I just started imagining like a Dalek massage parlor.
Hello. We are from Thailand.
Oh,
relax.
Happy ending.
No.
Oh no. Too far.
Oh God.
Like that isn't like the third joke for every massage parlor thing.
I mean, it is, but you know,
it's a Dalek. So yeah,
I just love the idea of like like that like sensual like music that they play.
Oh yeah, I think
like that real like soothing like calm music, and it's just the Dalek just like shouting, relax.
They just have like they all have like an apron.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's like one Dalek behind the desk that's like making all the appointments.
You will take Tuesday.
Parties of greater than 7 require pre-call. It's like it's the massage parlor from Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh no!
Chinese girls don't have green eyes. So
deep tissue.
Did you guys see that video I sent the Twitter page of the?
Yes.
Yeah. Put it in the curry. So racist. So the Daleks are like burning through the door, and
kind of Phantom Menace style. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, totally. See, George Lucas really screwed the show over. Man, when I was a kid, I was like so in during that first scene.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like, this is dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
because I didn't know how racist the Nemoidians were.
Sure, yeah. Well, when you were a kid, you're just like, yeah.
Aliens, whatever.
They're not real. God, remember when Anakin just straight up murders all the Nemoidians? And you're like, oh man, I didn't like them, but this is crazy.
Remember when he murdered children, Nick?
Younglings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I saw him killing younglings.
It was just weird that you went to the Nemoidians. God, it really bothered me when he killed all those Nemoidians. What about the children? I mean, that, I guess. Yeah, sure.
Hey man, you got to execute Order 66.
But those Nemoidians didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything wrong. Oh man. Do you remember?
They were just looking out for number one, you know?
Remember Ewan McGregor trying not to break when he had to deliver the line killing younglings, and he had to like cover his mouth with his hand?
No.
Yeah.
If you watch this, I had a vision of him killing younglings. he kind of gets it out as fast as he can.
Oh wow.
That's
so amazing.
So they're running out of time. Ian's like, go on without me, and they're like, no. And Ian's like, have you seen?
Well, he can't fit in the elevator.
Yeah, he can't fit in the elevator, and like he's stuck. And he's like, look, I deduce pretty quickly these guys really aren't that hard to get around, so you guys can just leave. And
guys, I'll be totally honest. This part was stressing me out because if I was Ian and I was inside a Dalek and I couldn't get out, I would be flipping out.
Oh, are you claustrophobic?
Yes.
Oh man.
Like I would not. Like I could get into a Dalek if I knew that I could get out of it.
Right.
But if I ever got stuck, I would be losing my mind. Like full on panic attack.
Oh man. So how was that episode in series 9 when Clara was in one? Was that stressful for you?
No, because she could get out, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's just the idea of like, I saw how tight that space was. He mentioned it in the last episode that his legs barely fit. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, there's that shot where it's like kind of tight on the top of the Dalek. Mm-hmm. And it's just, the head is just like moving around as he's like trying to get out of it.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, I would be losing it.
You're what? Like 5'10", 5'11"?
5'11".
5'11"? Yeah. Yeah, you'd be, I imagine that'd be pretty cramped.
Yeah, I'd be losing my mind.
Yeah, I'm 5'9", so I'd probably be okay.
Yeah.
So now you know how tall we are. So
how tall are you, Cass?
5'3".
Oh. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't ever picture you as short.
I am very short.
I guess I've only seen you in real life one time.
Yeah. No, my mom is less than 5 feet. Yeah, I'm short.
Golly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually the tall one in my family, and I'm only 5'9".
Yeah, I'm pretty tall compared to my family too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So so they all leave, and then once they're safe, it's really weird. Like he manages to get out as soon as they're gone. So they send the lift down.
Convenient.
My favorite thing
maybe
about
he was
this
naked in there, and he was just like, "Oh no, I'm stuck. Oh no, go on without me."
It just got really hot in there and just started taking off layers.
Just Ace Ventura style.
I think what I really like about this moment, and it's so quintessentially this era of Doctor Who to me, is that the drama of this moment is that the elevator is too slow.
Yeah, it's so funny. You just see it going up and down in the shaft, and it's so funny.
Yeah, well, and it's not just it's funny because it's slow, but it's also just like funny that that's where the high tension is coming from. It's like the elevator's slow. That's this version of the show's like take on high drama.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, what are they gonna do? The elevator's so slow.
Well, Daleks got nowhere to be. They just kind of laze around their city. Yeah. They don't have anywhere to be.
They just living that easy life.
Yeah.
That post-apocalyptic dream.
Just making their way down the creek. The bayou provides.
Oh my god.
All we need, the river provides. Left a good job in the city. I'm just obsessed with like
I think my favorite episodes to do on this show are any Dalek episodes. Because it's just so inherently absurd that they're just, you put them in any situation and it's just the greatest thing.
Oh man, I'm just picturing like just Nolan's Daleks with like just fishing by the creek, like on a little raft.
You know that thing in magazines where they'll have like guest editors where they'll like, be like, oh, Brian Fuller, you're going to edit this issue of Fangoria. You know, it's like every story in the Fangoria issue is approved by Brian Fuller.
Yeah.
If they ever did that on Saturday Night Live where they have like a guest host and then like a guest showrunner for an episode, if I ever got to do that, my thing would just be like, I want to replace all of the cast members with Daleks.
Gilly.
And just do a 90-minute SNL episode with just Daleks.
You know, they did that once in the 80s where they gave an episode to one writer. And I can't remember the writer. It was like a famous like writer at the time, and they just gave...
Was it that weird season with Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, I think it was one of those years where Lauren was gone.
Yeah,
but yeah, because like they were like, oh, what if we just gave one writer the whole, and then like it didn't work like at all, and so they just never tried it again. Even though I still think that the right kind of writer would be interesting. You know what I mean?
Especially if they gave them longer than a week to write the episodes. Like if they write the sketches. Like if they told them like 3 months ahead of time that they're going to do this, like then you could totally do it.
Like imagine
it's not fair to expect one writer to write all the sketches for that week's episode. You know?
God, imagine if like for 1 week, all 90 minutes of SNL was just like one story.
That'd be nuts.
It's like a live kind of teleplay.
I would also just be into the guest host being a Dalek.
With your host, the Dalek.
Dalek Prime.
And you know that awkward, you know that part where they like run in from the back, like past the band?
Yeah. You just hear the wheels. Yeah.
And then he just like kind of has to go super slow as he goes down like the 2 steps.
It just stops at the steps because it can't go downstairs.
Help!
Help!
Assistance!
Help!
Okay. The guy, the black guy with the braids that plays the saxophone has to kind of like awkwardly like kind of lift him up. We have a great show tonight. Best Coast is here.
Best Coast. That's funny. They just played in my hometown like 3 days ago.
Oh, I bet they put on a good show.
Yeah, probably.
They're good. They've been around for weirdly a while. The first album came out like in 2010.
So anyway,
so slow elevators. So yeah, so they send the lift down. The Daleks finally burst through the door, and they just find an empty Dalek husk, and like I'm sure they freak out.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
The Rapture!
The Rapture.
Only Steve was good enough.
Oh my god.
The best part, I don't know what's better about that joke. The part that they thought that Dalek was only good enough for the Rapture, or the fact that its name was Steve.
That'd be awesome if all the Daleks just had like normal names.
Oh my god.
My name is Bobby.
Michael! They just all had kind of like just Christian, German, Irish names.
Yeah.
So Ian escaped. They're at a window, and they see that the Thals are collecting food, and
that Barbara and Ian embrace though.
Yeah.
That's she was way excited to see him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she must have been pretty relieved. I mean, she'd be stuck with like this kind of precociously annoying little girl and like her grumpy long-haired grandpa.
Right?
Yeah. Susan's age continues to really baffle me in this chunk of stories.
Yeah.
She kind of
supposed to be like 15 or 16.
Yeah, because she has like this really kind of adorable, like Kimmy Schmidt, like wink.
Yeah.
When the Daleks are poking her, she does like a really broad wink. She kind of has like a 1970s Peter Pan thing going on, I think.
Oh, she does.
Where she's kind of like that asexual, mischievous little kid.
Yeah. Actually, a serious question.
Yeah.
So we know that it's probably inevitable that we're going to get a female doctor,
Right.
Sure.
If not next, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think next we're either going to get a female doctor or a doctor of color,
a DOC.
Yeah, a DOC. But in any event, we're going to get not another white guy, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless they just find another white guy, Scott, that's just perfect for the job.
Yeah. Well, good luck explaining that to anyone. But so I guess my thought has always been a very sort of like loopy, but like very like takes herself serious sort of doctor, like where she's like fun, but like also takes herself seriously. But like, what if you went a different route and you sort of did, because the doctor is, especially now with Capaldi, is like very sort of asexual in a way that we haven't really seen since Eccleston.
Sure.
What if you did that with a female doctor where, she was a little like that sort of like Peter Pan-ish sort of, Yeah,
or kind of like Dory.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of this unsexualized sort of like, hello, I'm on an adventure.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
And
I'm really curious to see what some actresses' take on a female doctor would be.
I know, like I would just want to be in the audition room.
Yeah, like I don't want to have any choice in the decision because that's up to whoever is show running. But
yeah,
I would be interested to see what all of their different takes would be, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, like freaking like Olivia Colman, like Ruth Wilson.
Don't talk about Ruth Wilson as the doctor. That'd be great. That would be a problem.
Hey, speaking of Doctor Who alumni, did you guys see that Jumanji photo?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Looks fun.
But did you see it on the Rock's Instagram?
Yes, but then I also saw Karen Gillan's tweet.
Okay, but in the Rock's Instagram, he he literally was like Karen Gillan as whatever her character's name
like
is,
Ruby Roundstone or something.
Yeah, and Roundhouse, right? Ruby Roundhouse.
Ruby Roundhouse, yeah.
Yeah, and and he put in parentheses he was like I know her outfit's ridiculous for jungle wear. There is a story reason for it. Please trust me.
Yeah, I saw it on her Twitter, and she was just like, "This is ridiculous, but it'll be explained." And I was like,
I think she's the Alan Parrish.
I don't. I think she's a character in Jumanji.
Oh, okay. And like that's the joke, is that she's like a Lara Croft kind of character.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like, I think that the people playing the game are playing as them inside the game.
Oh, wow.
And so they're going to be like a bunch of kids who are playing the game outside, and then they're all the kids like inside the game.
I'm so excited for that movie. I'm already going to see it because of The Rock. But I really like.
I was a little disappointed to see that Kevin what's his name was in it.
Oh, sure, yeah. But I will say that he's never. I think his best movie role to date was his movie with The Rock.
Sure, I just think like of all of the black actors that you could put in that movie, I think he's absolutely hands down the least interesting.
Mm-hmm. The most interesting would probably be Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh God, that would have been amazing.
I'm doing the Jumanji sequel. Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, and Academy Award winner Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh, that would be incredible. Oh man!
In the jungle, you must wait. What is it? Until you roll a 6 and 8, or what is it?
Yeah.
Oh God, I love that movie so much. Anyway,
I think I own that movie. Do I own that movie?
It used to be on Netflix.
I do own that movie.
Dude, that's a great Robin Williams performance.
It is.
Man, I haven't seen that movie since I was really little, and it scared me.
Oh, The Power of the Spiders?
And the rhino? Is that the rhino part?
Yeah.
Oh, the rhino I was never scared. I was scared of the spiders. Like, really scared. I actually couldn't walk on the ground after I saw that at home. It was like spiders.
Let's just talk about Jumanji, guys.
Yeah, right? Jumanji Minute.
What would the Daleks do in Jumanji?
Burn the forest down. Set off a bomb.
They would they wouldn't even be affected by the things happening around them. They would just play the game.
Keep
just
playing. Straight. Focus, Michael.
There's that great moment in this episode where we sort of get the origin of Exterminate.
Yes.
Because they tell the Daleks are loading into the elevator in search of our heroes, and the Dalek goes, like, is basically, if you find them, exterminate them. Like, do not hesitate, just exterminate, which is sort of their mantra. Don't hesitate, exterminate.
Hey, kids. Don't hesitate.
Now I want a Dalek rap album.
Don't hesitate, exterminate.
Oh my God.
Like a late 70s, early 80s, like, Dalek hip hop album.
Yeah, like a sideways, like, really brightly colored cap. My name's Dalek Prime, and I'm here to say we're gonna kill you.
backed by like Jazzy Jeff or something.
Yeah, or like that cat that was in that Paula Abdul video.
Oh. 2 steps forward. Exterminate. They just kill the cat.
There's like that.
And then the music just plays without any words, just like awkwardly as the Dalek just sits there for the rest of the video.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Okay, so they try to tell the Thals that there's an ambush coming, but they can't hear them. So they notice the lift is coming up, and so the doctor pries open the door. They all escape. They find this Dalek sculpture, and
is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like a statue, right?
I just thought it was just like convenient styrofoam rocks they just threw down the elevator shaft.
Oh, okay. Well, according to the wiki, it's a Dalek sculpture.
Huh.
So they throw the. I guess you can't really blame. I guess the Daleks wouldn't be that good at making sculptures,
right? It's abstract.
What is this? It's a Dalek. Does it look like a Dalek? I tried.
Oh.
I tried to capture your beauty.
He's wearing like a little beret.
Yeah.
Steve, I did not know that you felt this way. I did, and I always have.
Oh my God.
They rub eye stalks. It's like how lions make out in The Lion King. Remember that when like they couldn't have animals kiss because that would be weird, so they just had them like kind of rub each other's neck.
Oh my God.
It was always so weird.
Well, they're cats. I mean,
That's true.
They could have had them kiss. They were just cats.
Yeah.
Is that the sound they made?
How weird that would be. Just Simba and Knowledge them making out.
The circle of life.
oh my God. Now I'm just imagining Daleks in that movie instead of lions.
Oh, that would be
The circle of life.
everything the light touches.
Oh God. Will be
Is your
exterminated.
kingdom.
Simba's just like a smaller Dalek.
I can't wait to be king.
And so they open the door, they escape. Then Ian's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go warn the Thals," and they're like, "All right, you're just Mr. Solo mission today, aren't you, Ian?" And then while the Thals are taking the food, they find an elder, Timosis. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Timosis. So he's like, "Hey, we're really trying to avoid war. I think we should try to negotiate a longer lasting truce. So I'm going to offer to work with the Daleks to make more food and kind of stabilize the environment." Little does he know, these little fat bastards are already like surrounding them and about to like murder them. So Ian's like, "It's a trap, it's a trap, it's a trap." And then the Daleks, true to form, they exterminate Timosis. So the Thals, including Alidon, they get back together with Ian. They join the Doctor and the girls at the Thal camp, and then they find another young Thal whose name is like Dione. Was that his name? And
the creepy,
the little one,
the lady Dalek or the lady Thal.
yeah, and they kind of she provides a history of Skaro, but it's from the perspective of like, it's like their version of what Skaro. And so they say the Daleks were once known as a race called the Dolls, and they were actually humans, kind of not unlike the Thals. So it was a race,
Which is super weird when you consider something like Daleks in Manhattan, which granted is a terrible episode,
sure,
but the whole concept of that is like a half human, half Dalek hybrid thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they used to be human, I find that concept interesting.
Yeah, it almost kind of it's almost sort of, bless you, it almost sort of makes that episode worse because it doesn't know it, like they didn't even bother to look up the first ever Dalek episode.
Right.
So the Dolls and the Thals used to live in peace, but then the Dolls mutated into their current forms following something called the Neutronic Wars. And the Thals have decided to, so they were so just scarred by this part of their history that they've adopted pacifism as like their sacred creed.
Hold on. I want to go back to the mutation thing real quick.
Of course.
Because I don't remember a moment in this story where the Doctor or Ian explained to Barbara or Susan that the Daleks were these creepy little mutant things. And so I wonder if Barbara and Susan think that human beings mutated into fat robot things.
Like, really?
With eye stalks and plungers.
They're like,
he's like the Thals, like after this nuclear holocaust, they turned into these creepy things, and then they like mutated back into humans, but the Daleks are stuck in like the creepy.
Like, why did they stay that way?
Yeah. So like, they must. I don't know. They must know that the Daleks are just like some creepy.
Maybe they're just too stupid to like change back.
The Daleks.
So they're pacifists now, even though historically they're like a proud warrior race. So Ian's like, dude, you can't be pacifist right now. The Daleks are gonna like kill all of you. They already killed your boy Timosis, and the Doctor's like, let's just go.
Well, what I find really interesting about that whole conversation is like it starts when what's his name? Genesis, the Contal. What is
Aladdin?
Aladdin.
No. The older guy.
Timosis?
Timosis.
Oh, Timosis. Okay.
I don't know if I'm saying that right at all, but
so Timosis, he says that line where he says that fear breeds hatred, which breeds war.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this really interesting undercurrent of prejudice going on, this commentary of prejudice.
Sure.
But then on top of that, there's this other commentary about how stupid hippies are.
Yeah.
Like there's, it's like this prejudice and pacifism, and like they're these two completely different concepts that really have nothing to do with each other ideologically. And yet Terry Nation decides that he has comments about both of these things. And I just find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't enough that this was a story about prejudice. He also had to like do a sucker punch on pacifism.
I think it's not just pacifism though, because it's like pacifism to the extreme, like pacifism in the face of like self-destruction, you know? Just kind of like, it's almost apathy, maybe.
Well, but is it, or is he using an extreme version of pacifism in the way that like you would to prove a point? Where you're like, oh, you're pacifist? Well, this is what happens to pacifists.
I wonder what the like political landscape in England was like in 63.
Let's see. It was 63, so it was post World War II.
Yeah.
It would have been like Cold War era, right?
Yeah.
But were they involved in the in the Clone War? In the Cold War?
Oh man.
I think they were by proxy because of alliances, but not as hardcore as like the US.
Scott, and the man from UNCLE, what was Hugh Grant doing there? Was he British in that movie?
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, he was British because let me think. Oh, right, because the girl was British.
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, right. Vikander was British, and so she was like a secret British spy, and then you had the American dude, and then you had the Russian dude.
Yeah. And then the girl from The Great Gatsby was like the female villain.
Right. And I think their deal was like basically that they were middle ground. So like they're the ones who brought the two sides together because they were like, we've got bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
I think was the idea.
Yeah. Man, I wish I was up. I wish I was, maybe one of our listeners that's from England can maybe give us some history lessons about what was the cultural, because I bet it was pretty conservative, because if you go forward about 5 years, you have kind of like the punk explosion.
That's true.
Right.
Which had to have been a reaction to like a pretty conservative era.
Right. Well, you had the Beatles first.
Mm-hmm. And then phony Beatlemania bit the dust.
Yeah, and then like 10 years after that, you had the punk movement.
Mm-hmm. Like, the Sex Pistols and
76, 77, I think.
The Clash kind of at the tail end of that.
Right, early 80s,
early 80s. Then Sing Street.
And then Sing Street. Yeah.
Changed everything.
That movie that came out this year.
Yeah. Drive it like you stole it. So they, so they're trying to convince the Thals that they need to like nut up or shut up, so to speak. And then the doctor's like, look, let's just leave. And then they're like, yeah, let's just leave. This is stupid. And so they actually find out that, you cry wolf enough times, doctor, and it comes true. They're actually, the fluid link held by Ian was taken from him, and it's back in Skaro, and so, or back in Dalek City. And so they're actually trapped on Skaro, and that is the cliffhanger that ends part 4.
Mm-hmm. I love the move where the doctor is going over their whole history, their whole like genetic history, and he's just like, wow, so interesting, really just fascinating stuff. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's leave.
let's go. You guys ready?
I kind of wouldn't mind. It's kind of fun though, because like you associate the doctor so much with being like, Mr. Fix-It. And so, like, I really like the idea of the doctor's like, "Wow, this is fascinating. You guys really have it cut out for you, Susan. Let's go."
Oh man, so 40 minutes in,
kind of like a Han Solo kind of doctor.
We've been talking about that episode for longer than the episode is.
Oh man,
like almost twice as long. Oh man. All right. Well, 5. let's talk about the expedition.
All right.
Cass.
Well, there's not a whole lot that really happens in this one. Like,
oh, I know. Can I be honest with you guys? I fell asleep during part 5.
Oh man.
I woke up when Ian wakes up at the end of the episode.
Nice.
And it was like, oh, you let me sleep in. I was like, you did let me sleep in, Doctor Who.
Thanks, Ian.
But you've seen this before.
Yeah, I know.
So they're trapped on Skaro. So Ian's like, okay, well now we actually have to do something. So we have to get the Thals on our side. So Ian is like, hey, you see this giant can of history? What if I just trade it for our freedom? And they're just like, shrug. Okay. And then he kind of, that's not the response he wants. So he like steals like the pretty young woman, and he's just like, or what if they want like a human sacrifice? I'll just take her. And Aladdin, the main Thal, he just like punches Ian in the face, and Ian's just like, now you're a man. Basically. And then Aladdin, like, it's so funny because he like has this moment of like, oh god, I punched this guy, and then it kind of morphs into like, oh god, yeah, I punched this guy.
I feel like
Ian ruins this entire civilization.
Yeah, Ian just does not care. He just humans. So he gets punched in the face, and then he's just like, yeah, you're gonna help us. So they kind of plan their route into the city. And Barbara starts kind of getting cozy with this other guy. I don't remember his name.
It is in my notes. It's
Ganatus?
Ganatus.
Ganatus. So she starts hanging out with this guy. They're like hanging out by a campfire, and he talks about this crazy swamp because it's glowing in the dark. And it's like in the like towards the back of the city. And he's like, oh, we went down to that swamp one time, me and 5 guys, and only my brother came back because there's these crazy stuff that live in the swamp. And their plan kind of forms
swamp
around
Daleks.
Yeah, it's next season. Well, not next season in the show Doctor Who, but next season on the podcast. We kind of see some of the weird swamp things in Genesis of the Daleks, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
What was that show about gator hunters that was on History Channel?
Oh my god,
a couple years.
I don't remember.
There was like 5 of those shows.
Yeah, I just picture those.
I will say what I love about
swamp people. Yeah,
it was swamp people.
Swamp Daleks.
What I love about this swamp in Doctor Who is like they're just talking about a swamp, and they're talking about how it's like totally normal. It's just a swamp, but it's like boiling.
Yeah,
it's like constantly bubbling and boiling, and I was like, well, that's not what swamps do. And I was like, oh right, I'm from Florida, all of these people are from England, they've probably never even seen a swamp before.
They don't.
So they just assume that this is what a swamp is like.
Yeah, they don't know a world where a gator is just in your backyard.
Right.
Yeah. Like swamps, they're like constantly like bubbling and boiling. Honestly, that's the thing that put me to sleep. It was very soothing because it was a consistent sound throughout the entire episode.
I think like their idea of a swamp is like a peat bog, which I think does do that, or like a I don't know.
Yeah, see, I have no experience with bogs.
Like a bog, like I don't know.
It's like bubbling and boiling like a hot spring.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I lived in Louisiana for a spell, so I feel like I have like a cursory knowledge of swampland, but
Like the bayous.
Louisiana is like the swampland.
Yeah.
okay. But I was north, so I wasn't down south. I wasn't hanging out with that alligator from Princess and the Frog.
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's too bad.
Oh God, I love that movie.
So
that shot where he's like pretending to be on the boat, and then it just starts shooting at him, and he like just has to jump over the. Anyway. So they go to the swamp.
yeah, so they go.
Bonjour. You'll come to our land. Y'all from Shreveport.
I'll be honest, I'm really impressed that you're able to combine a Dalek with the Cajun accent. That's really impressive. Would you like a po' boy?
You come down here, we fix you up good. We treat you like family.
Oh my God.
We cook you up some beignets.
Oh my God.
Oh Jesus! Oh my God!
I think I have a new favorite Dalek.
Just Southern hospitality, Dalek.
Cajun Dalek.
Oh my God!
Oh my God. No, I want to see a version of Forrest Gump where Bubba is replaced by a Dalek.
I got big gums, sir.
Oh God. He's just listing off kinds of shrimp.
Shrimp cocktail. Shrimp burgers. Shrimp salad.
Oh my God! I can't breathe. Jesus! Oh my God!
There's nothing funnier than a Dalek doing anything normal. Like just literally anything normal.
Oh my Lord!
They're so big. Wow. Oh, they're amazing.
Okay.
Oh my God!
So they're at the swamp.
So they decide that they're gonna enter the city from the swamp side, and they're gonna split up into groups. So the Doctor and Susan are gonna go through the front door and kind of be like the decoy. Oh my God!
I can't stop thinking about Cajun Dalek. It's just, it's my favorite thing.
Like a 3-piece suit.
Oh my God.
Hello, sugar. Oh, you look real nice.
There's a Dalek on one of those swamp hovercraft things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Going to go cut by the creek, catch some frogs. Wear like a straw hat.
Oh my God!
Hello, Shari.
Oh, they're just really polite and charming.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
all right, get us
Daleks.
out of this swamp for the love of God.
Okay, yeah.
in the swamp anymore. And the Daleks are, this is honestly my favorite part of the whole episode, is they stole the anti-radiation drugs from Susan, and they're using them on the Daleks. So we get this Dalek point of view, and it's he's like screaming.
Oh yeah, he's like, help me!
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, ah, and
Like really human screams.
like the eye stalk, because you only see this like little circle and it keeps zooming in and zooming out, and there's this like kaleidoscope effect, so you see like 50 Daleks in like spinning around, and the Dalek is just spinning around in circles because the anti-radiation drugs are like killing them, because they didn't think that, they figured that they need anti-radiation drugs. So
Sure.
basically they kill off this whole sector of Daleks before they realize what's going on. So they're like, oh, we need radiation, and they decide to they're gonna set up another like a nuclear bomb.
Neutronic bomb, right?
Which is basically
Neutronic
the
bomb.
Yes.
Right.
And so they're just like, we'll just make the planet a wasteland so we can be the only one to survive.
Two birds, one stone.
Yeah. And I don't. They talk about the swamp more, and this swamp thing eats a dude. He like
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
like kind of like off camera.
Yeah, there's like a whirlpool, and this guy is like filling this water bag or something, and then he like screams, and then like 2 seconds later it's like underwater, and then the other people run, and that's basically the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's basically it.
It's basically just like a half hour of like swamp talk and Ian telling the other Thals to man up.
Yeah. And Barbara
Basically.
flirting with this alien.
Yeah. So episode 6, The Ordeal. So yeah, Elion's dead in the whirlpool. And they're like, wow, that really sucks. We should keep going. And everyone's like, yeah, that does suck, but yeah, we should totally keep going. So they split up. The Doctor and Susan take a gang down to the city, and Barbara and Ian take another gang of Thals through the mountains to sneak into the city, and they're gonna like sort of meet in the city. I don't know really why they're going in two separate paths, but I guess it just gives us something to watch. So
Right.
that's what's happening. So they're going through the mountains, and there's this whole thing with like rope where Barbara has like rope, and one of the Thals is like, I'm gonna go through this hole and check this out, and so they tie up a rope. She's like, gotta be careful, and he's like, yep, and they put the rope on, and he crawls through the thing, and then like immediately just like falls and is like, that sucked, and she's like, yep, and yep.
What are you gonna do?
They just sort of leave it at that. And then we go back to the city, and the Doctor and Susan, they come up with this idea of like using these light reflectors to reflect off of this tower thing where the Daleks get all of their video and radio surveillance from. And so for some reason, reflecting light off of this thing, it makes sense that it gets rid of the video surveillance, but it also takes out the radio for some reason. I don't know why that works, but it does. And they sneak into the city as a result. And the Daleks, they're like, okay, so we were going to do this neutronic bomb thing, but it takes like 23 years. So that's a while, and we'll totally be dead. We'll be totes dead, you guys.
Oh, no, it's
So
23 days.
Oh, 23 days. Okay,
Yeah.
23 days. Well, either way, they're going to be dead because they're like dying
Right.
from not enough radiation. So they're like, okay, well, what if? I mean, we've got these nuclear reactors that aren't doing anything. What if we just blow those up, and then we sort of nuke the planet that way? And the Daleks are like, that logic checks out, and
Good
and
work.
so that's their new plan. Meanwhile, Barbara, who is now in Thal pants, by the way.
Yes.
But her Thal pants are great because she's more modest than the other Thal dudes, because the Thal dudes, the holes on their pants go all the way up to like almost their waist. So they've got this like really big hole that shows off the sides of their butt cheek.
Yeah.
But hers only goes up to like the top of her thigh, so hers are a little more modest, but it's like the same deal. They're like leather holy pants. And I assume she's like, I'm assuming that her and what's his name?
Ian.
Galadriel.
Galadriel?
What's his name?
Ganadus?
Yeah, Ganadus. I assume her and Ganadus hooked up, and those are his pants that she's borrowing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
The old wearing the boyfriend's clothes in the morning.
right. Well, yeah, totally. Except reverse here, because everything's like backwards and weird on this planet.
Sure.
So she's wearing his pants, and we meet this. Well, we don't meet him. We've met him before, but there's this other Thal, who Antidus, I think is his name. Antidus. They enter this cavern where they're all going to start moving forward, and Antidus is like, okay, so time out, guys. It's really cool that we made it this far. I'm going to go ahead and go back. You guys can go ahead and keep going. I'm totes going to go back. I'm going to tell everybody how far you made it. We're all going to give you guys a nice slow golf clap. It's going to be great, but I'm not going to be here because you're all going to die.
Right.
And I don't want to die because it's freaking me out that we're in a cave. And even if we get out of here, the Daleks are totally going to kill us. And I don't want to die. So I'm going to get out of here. And the other Thal is like, "What? You can't leave? That's insane. You have to come with us. Like, we need men, and we need you, and we need." He's like, please don't make me do this. I want to leave. I want to get out of here. So they start kind of like fighting, and then their argument causes a cave in, and a rock hits. I've already forgot his name. They're so random. They're just like a random collection of Antidus. I wanted to call him Adonis. I'm like, that's not right. He's like the opposite of that. So Antidus gets a rock hit on his head, and they're like, okay, well, no going back now. So now you have to come forward. And it's at this point that I'm just like, yeah, Terry Nation really just really hates people like these pacifists. Like, he's got a real bone to pick with pacifism. And he is equating pacifism with cowardice in like a really big way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this character is. And he gets his just desserts as we move along in this story. But if you think being caved in and getting a rock thrown in your head was enough, for Terry Nation, it is not enough. So anyway, so they have to
kind of awkwardly, it has kind of an awkward agenda to it, I think.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's definitely like a conservative agenda, which is interesting because of like what the episode has to say about prejudice. So I don't know. It's a weird amalgam of like political stances. It's really interesting.
Regular Frank Miller story over here.
Sure is. So Doctor and Susan have snuck into the town, and they're going to sabotage this static electricity control box. And he uses the TARDIS key to short it out. And as soon as they do, they get surrounded by Daleks. So, ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh.
So we cut back to Ian and Barbara and their gang of Thals, and they approach the third test in the Last Crusade. And it's a chasm that they must cross, and Ian comes up with the bright idea that they're going to use rope safety to solve all their problems, and they've each got rope, so they tie a piece of rope around his waist, and they all hold it as he leaps across the chasm. And when I say chasm, I don't like this thing is.
When you say chasm, do you mean chasm?
I do. And I was just trying to roll with it because I was reading my notes and I'm tired. Yeah, chasm. So this chasm, I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking like 5 feet?
Right.
Like it's like 5 feet across. Maybe. That might even be a stretch.
So it's like not even a chasm, really.
No, it's like a large step across. I mean, honestly, none of them even have to be jumping. They could probably just take like an exaggerated Monty Python like crazy walk step across and totally get to the other side without a problem.
Yeah, Shaolin Fabulous would jump over that no problem.
It is the most ridiculously small chasm ever. So they approach the chasm. They throw a rock down. There's about like 2 seconds, and then it hits water. And they're like, "Wow, that's really far." And I'm like, "Is it?" But okay, sure. And so they tie the rope around his waist, and they all hold the rope, and he leaps across, and is very dramatic about barely making it. And then he's like, "Okay, I think I've got solid footing." It's like a very narrow space. It's something like, I don't know, what is that, like 1.5 feet between like the wall and the edge of the other side of the chasm. And so he's like, "Okay, so I've got this rope. You guys have a rope. So you're going to tie your rope and I'm going to hold this rope and we're going to rope this thing." I don't understand any of their rope safety techniques.
No, I don't think Ian has ever had a rock climbing or spelunking class in his life.
No. I'm not convinced he passed the Boy Scouts.
Right.
I think he was the kid he was like the know-it-all kid who was like not a team player.
And then he got kicked out.
But he's like, "Whatever, I know more about this stuff than you guys anyway."
You'll see.
You'll see. Yeah, so none of Ian's rope safety techniques make any sense. But we see every ridiculous second of it. I mean, when I say this is not an exaggeration, everything up to the chasm has been like maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then the rest
Once
of the
we
episode.
reach the chasm, we spend 15 minutes at the chasm, showing every single person jumping across, tying up the next person, and them jumping across. And we go through each one. It's just 15 minutes of rope safety techniques, none of which I would recommend anyone trying at home. It looks like the kind of thing that, like, have you ever watched like children play?
Right.
And you just look at them and you're like, you all think that you really know what's going on. And none of you do. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's always that kid where they're just like, "Oh, yeah, no, you do this, and then you do this." And all the other kids are like, "Oh, yeah." And you're like, none of you guys know what you're talking about. You're all children. And, like, I remember being a kid and being exactly like that, too, where you're just like, "Oh, yeah, no, it's totally like this." And everyone's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Or, like, I remember, like, in 5th grade, like, playing, like, Mission Impossible. And it's like, you can't play Mission Impossible when you're 10.
Right.
Like, you don't know what that movie is even about when you're 10. You just know that, like, cool stuff is happening and there's like gadgets and guns and stuff.
I used to play
Like
The
that-
Fugitive.
I mean, at least that's like basically like an exaggerated like game of Manhunt, right? Yeah. You can like find tunnels.
You switch
like,
the samples.
I don't care.
Just so you could sell Provasic.
Oh my god. So this reminds me a lot of like kids playing something that they don't understand
Yeah.
on the playground.
It'd be like a bunch of kids playing like the Ides of March.
Yes.
You have to clean this up.
Oh my god.
Drive her to the clinic.
Oh God.
Good movie.
So anyway, so everyone is across except for poor Antidus, who Terry Nation is about to make an example of. Antidus is the coward who wanted to leave the cave and then got caved in, and he was like, "Oh, now I'm stuck." And he goes to jump across and doesn't make it and falls off. And the weight of him on the rope that is tied to Ian starts dragging Ian off the edge as well. And that's how the episode ends.
Boom.
Antidus is a coward, and Terry Nation is not into it.
Yeah, it's always weird. and maybe this says more about me as a writer than anything, but I'm never a fan when it's very clear that a writer or a director like just hates a character.
Yeah, like
Right.
has an agenda.
Yeah, like
Right.
has an agenda, totally. Where it's whether it's like a woman or like we Scott and I we talk a lot about how we kind of are turned off by stories that are just about why religious people are stupid. Because not because it doesn't align with our own personal fears, but we just think it's kind of boring narratively.
Right.
Like, like every Stephen King story has like a crazy religious woman that is going to get like eaten or stabbed,
Mm-hmm.
Except for It, which is really bizarre because that book has like 90 characters in it, and not a one of them is a crazy religious person. Really weird.
Yeah. I think like someone's dad is, or step parents. I don't know.
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
I need to read that book again.
No, there's no religious people. Like not any more religious than like you just would naturally be in the 50s,
Sure. Yeah. Kind of like that. Just like, oh, God, help us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nothing beyond that, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird.
But yeah,
Anyway.
so yeah, and then like I'm kind of a fan of characters that are sort of more characters than positions or ideals.
Right.
Yeah.
So but I mean it doesn't take away from the fun of the story, but I don't know. I kind of think like not to compare, but like Star Trek I think was really good at having characters that clearly kind of represented an ideal or a point of view, but that character was kind of allowed to have like nuance and except when they weren't, because there were episodes of Star Trek that were like that. So yeah, part 7. So Antonidas, in a rare moment of selflessness, actually cuts the rope and lets himself fall so that everyone else might live. In an act of almost Pexian mercy. And everyone else is like, oh well.
I am into the word Pexian.
Pexian.
I decree that is now a thing.
Yes. Pexian, to kick and punch well and know all the karate. And also
that is a Pexian entrance.
That sounds like
God.
a ship name for like Pex and Ian.
Aw.
Oh,
They'll never meet. They'd be like shipping Data and 7 of 9.
Hey man, there's some weird stuff on the internet.
Or like Scotty and Admiral Archer. Like,
I would have loved if you had said it'd like Data and 7 of 9. It'd be like Scotty and 7 of 9.
I can only name 3 Star Trek.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be like if you find out that there was fanfic of like Captain Janeway and like Henry Mudd.
Guys, I know this is not the time or the place, but this just came to my mind, and this is so weird.
Sure.
How bizarre is it that in both Star Trek universes, the original Roddenberry universe and the Kelvin universe, Star Trek Enterprise, the show, is a thing.
Yeah, no,
as is in both versions.
It is completely untouched and unaffected by the arrival of the Kelvin.
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Because there's even that line in the first Star Trek movie. The first Star Trek movie. Someone, a Trekkie's gonna murder me.
The first reboot movie.
Yeah, the first reboot movie. There's even that line where Simon Pegg says something about.
Do you remember Admiral Archer's dog?
Yeah.
And whatever happened to that dog? I'll let you know when they find it.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, I don't like talking about it. Yeah. It's like, oh, Archer's an admiral now, and he's still around. And
yeah, there's this great
weird.
And like there's that scene in Into Darkness where we're in RoboCop's office, and and he has like a bunch of like model ships on his desk, and you can see Zefram Cochrane's ship.
Yes. That was great.
First Contact. Anyway, so Adonis is dead. And they climb up, and they find themselves at a dead end, and like their like torch thing is fading.
Did you just call him Adonis as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's not even like a fun fake word, like Antodius, whatever.
No, it was just Terry Nation throwing darts at letters. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, we should go back, and then the light is snuffed out. But then they see a light from a hole.
A literal light at the end of the tunnel.
A literal light at the end of the tunnel, Cass. And through that, they find an entrance into Dalek City. So the Daleks have now, they have Susan and the doctor in the control room. And they're like touching them with their suckle things. And touch. And they're like, we're going to kill everyone on Skaro. So that they can thrive in the neutronic fallout.
What was that accent?
Sounded like a Bond villain.
Yeah, it was like a sexy Ian McKellen or something. Like,
oh my god, can you imagine if Ian McKellen was all of the Daleks?
Yeah, no, it would be amazing.
Exterminate.
He was already the great intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
I read this really funny tweet where it was like, man, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender must have had a hell of a 90s because they have to turn into Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in like 10 years.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So they're like, hey, we're gonna wipe out everyone because we're Daleks and we'll actually do pretty good in neutronic fallout. And so the doctor says that, tell you what, I'll help you guys. I'll do you one better. You fat little monsters. I will build you. We don't get any hate mail for body shaming the Daleks, but
they built their bodies.
Yeah.
It's they had a choice.
Yeah.
They could have built something else.
We love our curves.
Oh God.
So she's like, hey, I will build you another TARDIS. And they said, we don't need your help to do that, you old idiot. And the doctor's like, oh. And so meanwhile, Aladon and the rest of the Thals launch an assault on Dalek City, which is as fun as it sounds. And then this party runs into Ian's group, and they're like, hey, let's attack the Dalek Control Center all at the same time. Together, Autobot style.
There's so much sneaking around like Dalek City in this story.
Yes.
In this episode.
Yeah.
Like it's just a bunch of them like crouched down, like stage sneaking around Dalek City. Like around the same hallway shot from different angles. Just over and over and over again.
Yeah, shooting this must have been real fun.
Oh man. They just got a bunch of rocks that they're gonna throw at the Daleks.
Right? It looks like kids like trying to sneak out of their room at like past bedtime.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is. Like, do you remember when you were a kid and you and a group of kids were in like a new place for an afternoon and you would just use your imagination to like create a game?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, today we're going to pretend that this Home Depot is like the Death Star.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, they just act like kids in this whole thing.
Yeah, and especially Susan. So they destroy the Dalek apparatus and stop the radiation from getting out. They disable the power source, and they just cow tip a bunch of Daleks, and then the Daleks become immobile and die, but not before begging the Doctor to save their horrible, worthless Dalek lives, and the Doctor just flat out says like no and just watches them die.
Yeah.
In a very 10th Doctor kind of move. It's weird that it kind of, I don't know, like watching the newer episodes first, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of had the sense that the Doctor, it was kind of like a Batman Joker situation where it's like, no, like I've given him too many, or like Picard and the Borg, like this far, no further, and so I'm like, oh man, so like this must have been the result of like decades and decades of drama and hatred. And so it was kind of weird seeing him from the get-go having like showing no mercy to these things.
Yeah, but I mean, he shows very little mercy to anything.
Yeah.
As the first Doctor. So
Mm-hmm.
he like grows out of it and then eventually kind of grows back into it.
Mm-hmm. So the Thals are pretty turned off by all this death and destruction, but they're like, well, at least it's finally over. Let's go back to being pacifists. So they go back to the tall camp. This time they have that weird fluid link that Ian left behind. Must have been a bitch to find that and like just to go back and read. I hate backtracking and finding stuff that I lost. It's always like really frustrating. So yeah, the Doctor and his group were like, well, this was weird. We didn't have any fun. This was a mistake. I hope we never see any of these things again. And they return to the TARDIS. And then right before they leave, though, it's revealed that Barbara and Ganatus were kind of they had a little showmance going on that no one was really paying attention to or cared about, and they kiss a little bit, and then Barbara was like, Barbara, we're leaving, and then as soon as they're in flight, there's an explosion on the console, and they all fall to the floor, and then the episode ends.
Yes. Setting up one of my favorite stories of the Hartnell era.
That one's only 2 parts, right? 2 or 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, 2.
The Edge of Destruction.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really good.
It's the one and only bottle episode of Classic Who.
Oh.
The whole story takes place on the TARDIS.
I'm excited. I like this group.
Yeah?
I think Barbara's a little underwritten.
Barbara or Susan?
Well, Susan, but I think Susan, the performance of Susan is big enough to where I think she's like a really entertaining character to watch.
Uh-huh.
And I hope Barbara, because right now Barbara I think is the least interesting of the 3.
Barbara, her move is that she's like trying to get Ian's attention, and she's just like constantly hooking up with other dudes.
Right.
Yeah,
and Ian's just like, I'm a man. I got a manly man all over the
I'm a guy doing guy
things. He's so distracted by that he's not seeing Barbara like obviously like
paint me like one of your French girls, kind of just like
yeah, totally.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, come on. I mean, if you're, not that this matters, but Barbara's like an attractive, eligible young woman.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did Susan ever get like a weird little boyfriend?
Spoilers. Okay. So I just wanted to mention, like, when they defeat all the Daleks, like, I think I don't. Is there anything sadder than a Dalek that's been tipped over?
No.
Its
I
little
think it's the
stock
saddest
is
thing
just
I've
like
ever
moving
seen.
around in circles.
Yeah,
Help.
yeah. Oh my God, there's that one guy that gets shot. The one Thal that gets shot by the ray, and then like with his last ounce of life, he like gets up and like shoves the Dalek in a closet, and it dies somehow.
I think
Good stuff.
I think the key to the appeal of these things, I like that they're so evil and they're so ambitious and like they're so proud of themselves, but they are so vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's like imagine if the Borg were all a bunch of like overweight cats. But they still had like the mindset of the like assimilate, but you could just easily like pick one up and like put it in like a drawer. Like, no, put me down. You know, like I think it's like for the same reason that we love like Pinky and the Brain.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
what do you think about, this is the story. You watch the story that caused Dalek mania.
Yeah.
This inspired a theatrical film. and like it spun the Daleks into like their own like characters and like book series and
the Daleks, the road chip.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get it. I mean, I can understand. I mean, I'm fascinated by the concept of anyone finding these things genuinely scary. But because like, yeah, I mean, like they're so big and cuddly and stupid and loud. And so like, I don't really know, but maybe it's one of those things where like, it's like how like you read about audiences like fainting during like Bela Lugosi's Dracula. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we mentioned this last week, but I'm just really impressed that they came out of the gate so well defined already.
Mm-hmm. Did Terry Nation write Power of the Daleks, Cass?
No, that's David Whittaker. That's why it's good.
Okay, so this is also Nick's first Terry Nation story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not the most Terry Nation from what you guys have been telling me.
Oh
no.
God, no.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm kind of waiting for like a kind of more Terry Nation-y episode before I pass judgment.
The chase.
Oh, it's coming.
The chase.
Yeah,
because
the chase. I mean, even the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah. Dalek invasion of Earth, man. Oh boy.
I'm interested to see what you guys think of Keys of Marinus, because that's one of the few Terry Nation stories that's not Daleks.
Right.
And I love that story for all the wrong reasons.
So do I.
But...
It's great. It's great. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, so what's next week, guys?
Next week is I didn't write it in the notes.
Next week is Underwater Menace.
Oh, you're right.
Yes, I'm excited.
You're right. Yeah, Underwater Menace. That is going to be really fun to talk about.
But very painful to watch.
Well, but not as painful as it used to be, because it used to be that it was missing episodes, but now it's not anymore. So.
Oh, is it not?
Is this an audio adventure or just like a proper episode?
No, they're proper episodes. There were 2 episodes that were missing, but 2 of the 4, but they've been animated. So
yes. Oh, I haven't seen those.
I think they've been animated.
That's a weird choice, but
yeah, I thought they came out like a couple years ago or something.
It's like the most Bond villain to ever Bond villain. Like he has a pet octopus.
Oh, nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like I want to see more of Troughton. I feel like I don't have as firm a handle on him as the other ones yet.
I think he takes a while to get going.
Well, and I don't think he's ever seen like an actual existing episode of Troughton yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
That's probably the reason. Actually, it looks like they were going to do it and then canceled it or something.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say because that one's kind of weird. That's not the Troughton episodes I would animate personally, but
No, I don't. Why did I need to go. I need to do some research on this one. For some reason, I had believed that they had done it, but apparently not. So, okay. Well, never mind. Yeah, it doesn't look. It looks like they were planning on doing it and then canceled because there's like a lot of images of like the synchronized swimmers.
Yeah.
Like, animated. And yeah, this is it's a banana story,
so
but at
good.
least you're gonna get your first instance of live action Troughton because you're gonna have 2 actual existing episodes.
Oh, good.
So only 2 reconstructions and then 2 existing episodes.
Mhm.
But then on the other side of that, Ambassadors of Death,
Ooh,
which is awesome.
yeah.
So yeah, huge inspiration for Silence in the Library.
Oh,
that
cool.
story. Yeah,
Well, that'll be fun.
aesthetically.
Aesthetically.
I always feel like I have lisp when I say that word.
Aesthetically.
Aesthetically. So yeah. And then we've got Centauran Experiment, which is not great,
good.
but short.
Yeah.
Yeah, but short. So, it's a small mercy. And then Kinda and Vengeance on Varos, which is terrible.
Yeah.
And then Delta and the Bannerman, which is great. Sort of Orion, which is solid. And then we're back in New Who territory. So
What's the 9th episode?
Ninth Doctor?
Yeah.
Unquiet Dead.
Okay. I don't remember what that one was.
The Charles
That's
Dickens one.
Charles Dickens.
Okay.
Charles Dickens with Gwen from Torchwood.
Yes. Well, I mean, that means nothing to me, but...
Oh, okay.
Oh, have you not seen Torchwood?
No, I've only seen the episodes where they cross over with Doctor Who.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I just never...
You're not missing anything. It's fine.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I kind of heard.
The Captain Jack
Yeah.
two-parter in season 2 is really good, but other than that, it's like, meh.
Yeah.
Then
Then
video of Pearl Mackie meeting her first Dalek.
No.
It was like behind the scenes footage of that little introductory video.
Yeah.
And it's adorable. She did not know that there was a person inside of it.
That's amazing.
She was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. I guess she just never really put that much thought into how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So this Dalek comes up and it's like, hello, Poe. And she's like, oh my God. She looks like you can already, I mean, just from that video, her and Peter Capaldi have like really fun chemistry.
That's awesome. I'm excited for that show to come back. Like, just ridiculous. Guys, I just want it to come back.
Yeah, it's overdue.
Christmas, dude.
It'll be great because when we finish this season, it'll be time for the show to come back. At least for Christmas.
Yeah.
Hopefully all together. That would be.
So are we gonna like put this on hold when the show comes back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll transfer to Capaldi stuff.
Nice.
But
And then our listeners will come back.
Aw.
yeah, and then we'll transition the Capaldi like coding or whatever. I don't know. I gotta figure out how we're gonna number those episodes. If we're gonna just do like I'm gonna figure out how many stories he's done and do like 12, 20.
Oh, right.
Whatever. Or if I'm gonna go back to the Doctor's Companion numbering or what I'm gonna do. I don't know yet.
Right.
You'll figure it out.
Yep. That I will. I assume I assume that we will finish this season, get the Christmas special, and then do the 4th season before the show comes back. That's what I think.
I'm guessing like spring break 2017.
That's what I'm assuming. I mean, I would love for it to come back in January, but I don't have high hopes for that.
Oh no, I mean yeah.
Well,
although they are shooting though. I mean, so who knows?
Well, yeah, but I think Sherlock's coming back in January, and I don't see them putting both of those shows on at the same time.
Right, it would cannibalize the
rest of the year.
And I mean, yes. So we'll have 3 weeks of Sherlock.
Right.
Hopefully, at least 2 of those weeks are good.
It's usually the case.
God, why? For a show that so many people love, it kind of has a low batting average, I think.
Yeah, but there's not that many episodes, and they're not really. They never feel like episodes to me. It feels like just getting 3 movies.
Yeah, and I guess the ones that are good are like really good,
right?
And the ones that are bad are just kind of boring. I mean, there really hasn't been like an awful episode of Sherlock.
All of them,
in my opinion.
I'm just kidding.
The worst episode of Sherlock, just off the top of my head without thinking about it, is like Hound of the Baskervilles.
Oh, see, I think the weird Chinese circus one is worse. From series 1.
I have no memory of that.
Yeah, it's the 2nd episode of series 1, and it's like this weird Chinese circus, and there's like this bit where like they do this random cutaway to Sherlock, like this like Asian dude with a sword just like shows up in his apartment and sword fights Sherlock, and then it just cuts away, and they never explain why they cut to that or what it was in reference to.
Hell? Why don't I remember
why it was
that?
happening? Yeah,
because like I mean, I've seen the pilot like so many times,
right?
And then I've seen the Great Game quite a few times.
It's the 2nd episode. It's the one where Watson meets his future wife.
Oh, Mary.
Yeah.
Mrs. Martin Freeman.
I believe that's the episode where he meets her, or at the very least, he starts dating someone in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's her, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's somebody else.
I know who you're thinking of though, because it was like he had one love interest before the one that he got married to.
Right. I don't know. Anyway.
Well.
Sherlock's companion.
You can find us in the meantime on duelinggenre.com. You can email us, contact@thedoctorscompanion.us. Where do you want the Daleks to be next? Like what area of the United States, I guess. We're on Twitter @TDCPod.
North Dakota.
Tumblr, the Doctor's Companion Podcast @tumblr.com. We also have a Facebook
Exterminate,
page.
don't you know?
Just Fargo with Daleks.
We're exterminating you is the thing.
Oh man! So you can check us out on Facebook. We have we're on iTunes, so give us a 5-star review on iTunes if you like Dalek impressions.
Do it.
We have Back to the Future Minute also on the site, Geek by Night, and Lord of the Rings Minute. Exciting.
Yeah.
Which I do with my fiance. And apparently people like it, so that's awesome. We are also on Patreon, duelinggenre.com/support, and if that's not your thing, we have a one-time donation button on the site, as well as merch, which is awesome. And special thanks to our Patreon associate producer, Leaper182. And we'll talk to you next week.